Hello, this is Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com, and today we're sitting in a 2020 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. So, this is my second time in one of these. If you remember, I did a video where I went to California and drove one of these late last year, or was it early this year? Late last year. And wow, really fell in love with this thing. And now I've had it for a week and I still love it. Had tons of fun this week. Here's a quick clip. I had the kids, took the kids, we stripped it down and drove around in the hills and stuff. It was tons of fun. Anyway, I'm going to do a shaky cam interior review here and go over the interior details. Hey, this is Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com, and today's review is brought to you by Stop Soldier Suicide. Find the link below, click, and donate. Appreciate it. A bit of the color palette. But anyway, let's go over that. Let's just get started. So over here, here's your door handle. Here's your side mirrors. They are electric side mirrors. You can see there they move around like that. They also fold in, which is important when you're taking the doors off. You need to fold those mirrors in so they don't get smacked around. Down here's the door locks. New placement for Jeeps, because normally in a Wrangler or anything with a similar cabin, they're in the middle over there. Over here we have the lighting controls. Here's your dimmers. So you can see there's two different ones. One for the lights, one for the dash. Down here is the control to turn the 115 volt household plug in the bed, cargo bed, which is an option for this truck. The 115 volt cargo bed, you can toggle it on and off with that. So if you don't want somebody just randomly plug it into your stuff. Getting to the steering wheel, I'll look at the dash in a minute because there's some stuff I want to show you, but I'm going to skip that and do it later. So looking at the steering wheel, over here you have your driver information screen controls and your telematics is how you make phone calls. And then this is voice control. It's Uconnect. Voice control is pretty good in Uconnect. You can use it a lot or you can not use it at all. I use it just to see how, make sure it works okay. But for the most part, I don't tend to use voice control in Uconnect because their touchscreen is so intuitive. There's really no reason to, you know? It's so quick to use it. On this side of the steering wheel, you have your cruise control stuff. This turns on regular cruise control. This turns on adaptive cruise control. And then you can see above and below it, those are the distance settings. The rest of the cruise works the way you would expect it to, set, reset, and et cetera. That's what I was trying to say, et cetera. There you go. Look at the stitching. Pretty cool, huh? It goes with that red right there. Again, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Here's your windshield washer wipers. Work the way you would expect them to. You twist this back and forth. You move this up and down. That's about it. Over here, oh, and you pull it. I forgot about that part. I will point out that if you are used to a Jeep, I should point this out. If you're used to a Jeep, then you understand that this flat windshield they put on these so that the wind, you know, it's part of the design, and then the windscreen can fold down, right? Which you can do in this. And as far as I know, all the Gladiator models. But that flat design means you are definitely going to cake it in bugs. And this is going to do you no good to get those bugs off that windscreen. Jeep thing. All right, over here, this is your lighting controls. So you got your signal turns here and then back and forth for your brights. Then looking at the dash, aggressive bezels. So it's a little difficult to get everything in. So I'm just going to have to pan. Over here, here's your tachometer. And here's your four-wheel control. So as you shift through the different four-wheel drive settings on your transfer case, this shows you which ones you're in. As far as I know, every Gladiator is four-wheel drive. There may be, I believe there are two-wheel drive models, but every there is no all-wheel drive option. So unlike the, say, Jeep Sahara, there is not an all-wheel drive. There are only four-wheel drive as an option for the Gladiator. I will correct that if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the truth. Over here in the middle, here's your engine heat, here's your compass, here's your fuel. You can see I burned a lot of fuel in this thing. I did not do formal fuel efficiency tests because honestly, if you're buying a Gladiator Rubicon, MPGs probably are not very high on your list of things that you care about. And if you do care about them, I don't know why you're buying this. Because, yeah. I only know, in this segment, in the small truck segment, I only know of one that can consistently go with a regular gas engine, that can consistently stay over 20 miles to the gallon. And out of the whole group, it is probably the least capable. So there you go. I'm not going to name it because I don't want a bunch of bad vibes and people bitching at me because I made fun of their favorite truck. But that's the truth. Anyway, outside temperature up there. Here's your gear. So when you shift, this is a automatic transmission. So when you shift, it shows you what gear you're in. And mileage down there. This can change with those driver information screens controls. So I'll just flip through them. It's the usual Ram, Jeep, etc., Fiat, Chrysler, etc. stuff. So there's a lot of different settings. Here you can go into the setup, so if you want to change this screen around a little bit, and then so on and so forth, you can see what's going on with what. So for those who are wondering, here's the mileage I put on it. I put on 244 miles, 16.6 mpg on average. Much of that, not a lot of it, honestly, because you have to get to and from. That's where most of the miles come from. But I did put about probably, I would say, 30 or more of those miles off-roading. So 30 or more of those miles were in four-wheel drive. About probably half this mileage was driving around town, and then everything else was on the freeway. So that's my guess. I didn't log everything because, like I said, if you own one of these, you're probably not terribly concerned about MPGs. Over here you have your focus. There we go. Here you have your speedometer. I believe this just swaps out. They just change out the background for the Canuck miles per hour. But there you go. I like that because it's so easy to see. But I really like. I don't know if I can bring it back up because I'm pushing the wrong buttons. There we go. But I really like that, and most of you should already know that. So, all right, now I want to talk about the dash. You see that color going through? That's a Rubicon thing. Rubicon's red, right? Rubicon red. I like these kind of vents, and I cannot lie, they're really awesome. You move them around, you got full adjustment, and then you can totally just close them. Really like them. They're just quick to use, and they make total sense. And then here's your push button start and the Uconnect screen I was talking about. This is basically the apps menu. You push that apps button, you end up here, and you can kind of see what's going on. I will point out a couple of things, like the fact that you're not dependent on this for steering wheel and seat heating, right? Because there are hard buttons for it, which is a huge bonus. Just going to say that. It's a giant bonus. I really did not like always having to go in here to change that. So I'm glad that in this, at least in the Gladiator, and I assume I'll have another Jeep, one of the crossovers later this month, and I'll compare. But I do believe that this is a new thing that's going to be across the board, but at least in the Gladiator for sure, you're no longer dependent on having to go into these screens to do that stuff. You used to have to hit this button all the time and do all that stuff. So it was kind of a pain. But you can kind of see what the apps are. You have Wi-Fi hotspot, a few other things. And then over here you have some more stuff. The forward-facing camera is pretty cool. So you can look out the front of the truck and you can run the squirters. See that? Clean it off. Pretty cool. And then you can quickly jump to the back one if you want. Really nice. I like that. That is sweet. So they didn't do a 360-degree camera on this particular one. I don't even know if it's an option, and I don't know if I would want it, because those cameras are almost always mounted on the side mirrors, and you're going to pull the doors off a lot. Why? Right? So there you go. Anyway, here's what you got. Offroad Pages. This is good stuff. Interesting. Well, if it will connect. I don't know if I have a connection out here. Yeah, I do. Nice. Maybe lost, but never stuck. So here's all the off-road stuff you can do. You can, it tells you, you can see it. It tells you some of your angles, what's going on. You can look at gauges for all the different things going on in your truck as you're off-road. And then you have your pitch and roll. I used this a little bit while I was out in the country. It's kind of fun. And then trail cam. So you can actually look at the cameras, right? Look at what's going on. And just nicely done. I really like having this, so kind of neat. Then for the most part, the rest of it is pretty straightforward. Here's all your settings, so you can just go through and change all the stuff you want on your infotainment screen here. Pretty cool. So that's kind of the infotainment there. There's a few other things and stuff, but that's really what you're going to be using the most. Up here, besides music, of course, up here you can see I have my cheap sunglasses up there. I like cheap sunglasses because I tend to break them a lot. But up here's a good little storage for throwing stuff like that. I've also had my boom 1941 Jeep. I've also had my Jeep hat up there a lot. And then coming down, we're just looking. Here's the climate control. So you can see that I mentioned those seat heaters. They're right here. And then there's a steering wheel heat. Then you have your defrosts and some other stuff. Auto, you just turn it on and it's on auto. And you have temperature controls here for the dual zone. And then you just turn it off. Duke's lights right there. The auto stop start, if you don't like it, you can shut it off with that. Here's your traction control. This mutes the stereo without turning off the screen. This turns off the screen and everything going with it. And then that turns off the screen, but doesn't turn off any of the stuff. So if you're playing music, you can do this to shut that off, like at night, or because it's getting in the, it's annoying you. But mostly you would do that so that at night you're not getting all that glare in your face. And then you can just touch the screen or touch that and turn it back on. Here is your crawl control. Here's the parking radars. When you go into four-wheel drive, these stay on. So if you don't want them on because you're like in the trees and in the bush and whatever, and you don't want them going off all the time, there you go. Down here's the window controls. Back windows down here, front windows up here. Front windows are automatic down, but not necessarily automatic up. It says they are, but they're not necessarily like that. This locks the windows, so you do that and the windows can't open. So my recommendation is when you pull the doors off, you roll all the windows down first, right? So before you take the door off, you roll down the windows. When you roll the windows all the way down, it protects them, putting them inside. It also makes the door way easier to lift off and carry away. I would also recommend that you do this. And the reason I recommend that is because there is the chance when you plug them in that if the plug doesn't seat perfectly right off the bat, so if it only plugs in part of it, not all of it, it could start moving the window. But if you have the lock on, the car won't even attempt that. So just a little kind of FYI. It's not mandatory, and you're probably not going to have that problem, but it is possible. I didn't have it at all in this, but I did do that every single time. But I have had it happen in Wranglers in the past, so I just wanted to point it out. Over here's 12 volt. Over here's a bunch of USBs. So you see you got a C, you got a regular one, and you got an aux port. Down here's a little cubby that I don't know what you're going to put in it, but there's a cubby. And then some off-road controls. So these are largely Rubicon only. You will see this one in others with four-wheel drive, but it will change what it can do. See, so if you're looking, Hopefully I can get a good angle. That should work. There's the front and rear differential locks, and there's the rear only, and then there you go. You can quickly on and off, right? So this is how you turn them off. Over here is Off-Road Plus. I don't know what that actually does. I mean, it lights up stuff on the dash and things, but I haven't seen a reason to use it. You know what I mean? It does make the metrics a little better. That's what I'm told, and so it should be improving things. But I didn't feel any difference, honest. But at the same time, I wasn't doing like heavy mud. I wasn't doing. I mean, this was just dirt and dust and a little bit of rocks, you know, and bouncing up and down some hills. So what I did this week was maybe just not what that is for. Sway bar disconnect is pretty cool. I like this, and highly useful if you need a whole lot of reach because you're climbing a rock face or trying to go down a hill with a lot of like moguls and things like that happening on it. So useful right there. Over here's your four-wheel drive shifter. So you can see it's pretty straightforward. And then over here is the automatic transmission shifter. There would also be a stick if you had the stick shift version. So you can see down here, here's the thing, here's the gear, here's the thing, here's the thing. Here's the gears, and here's manual shifting right there for it. And you can see I left some camera gear on the floor. I got to clean that stuff out. Over here's drink holders. See, I got my coffee, because what do I love? I love coffee. Yeah. What do I love? Coffee. For you folks that like coffee. All right. I don't have a death metal voice anymore. I screwed up. I have seriously screwed up those vocal cords. I used to be able to make the rattle in the front of my top of my throat up here, you know, in the back of your mouth. But not anymore. Nope. Screwed all that up. A misspent youth. All right. Here's your handbrake. And highly useful in this, by the way, because like all Jeeps, like all you know, Wranglers, I guess, like all those kind of Jeeps, this is primarily rear-wheel drive, and this is useful in a rear-wheel drive vehicle. It's also useful when you're parked because it is a parking brake. It's a handbrake, but it is also a parking brake. All right, storage cubby right here. I really like it. There's the Jeep tools. So this little tool packet, I'm just gonna pop it out and open it up. It's a ratchet now. How sweet is that? That is awesome. Here's some instructions that visually show you how to do stuff if you are not familiar with removing the roof, doors, windshield, etc. from a Jeep. So it's got a ratchet. This is the longer one. This is useful for two things. One, it does the smaller bolts such as the door catches. So the part of the door that keeps it from just flipping all the way around. Also, because it's long, you can slip it into that and pull it out when that part gets stuck in the door. This here is the one you use the most. This one runs, there's numbers for all of these, like P51 or something, I don't know. But I don't keep track of that crap. This bigger one here is almost all the bolts for removing items. So roof, door hinges, etc. That's what that's for. And then you got this big, there you go. You got this big hex right here, and you'll use that on some very specific items around the truck, such as the spare tire holder, I do believe, and a couple other things. So there you go. And then it closes up, Velcros, nice little pouch. Every Jeep comes with one of these. Every one of them. Bah. All right, get my pen, get my sunglasses case, and then put this back. So you can see down in there's a USB. It is the second one. It charges only as far as I know. I don't believe it's data, but that's a pretty decent sized bin considering the size of this mid-sized truck. And that's not all. Nope, there's more. Left some trash in there. That's the little top cubby. So I want to notice a couple of things about it. It's a non-slip. This is very rubbery. So you can drop your phone or whatever you got here, your gadgets, and then you can run a cord like this and go down to that plug down on the other layer, right? Or forward, there's my finger, to that plug. So these are nice because that's what these little notches are for. Very, very cool. And there's tons of room because this part is like this, sunk up. So you have a lot of room in that little section right there. Very, very nice. I really like just the design of that. Hopefully something like that is in the Wrangler now. I haven't seen the brand new Wrangler outside of one drive event. So details like that I'm not familiar with. Hoping to get one later this year. So over here, you can see the seating. This is kind of the vinyl version, and then this is the white paint. So you see the paint from outside coming in. It's white, this particular model. You can get all kinds of colors for it, of course. And there's the passenger door. Back seats are pretty good size for a mid-size truck. This is a large mid-size truck, so it's bigger. Wheelbase is bigger than the Ford Ranger, stuff like that. I would say that in measurement, in terms of size, this is the Gladiator is roughly the same size as the Chevy Colorado GMC Canyon. So that's about the size. And it just nice little things. This has the removable top roof, right? It's not the soft top, which I also really like. And then there's some buttons up there, and then there's the mirror, hi, and my other camera, hi. But nicely done. It's way more comfortable than most Jeeps I've been in. The longer wheelbase makes a huge difference in highway driving. Gives it just a lot of, it gets rid of the squishiness and the rattle that you had, that you'll have in a Wrangler. And as far as I know, the new Wranglers aren't any different. They might be a little bit better, but a Wrangler has never been a highway vehicle. And the Rubicon, or the Gladiator, the Gladiator is very, very similar in design. I will also point out, though, that the underpinnings of this are nothing like the Wrangler. Outside of the Dana axles and the powertrain, there is nothing on this that is off the Wrangler. Everything underneath it is derived largely from pickup trucks, actually, derived from the Ram 1500, things like that. So the coil springs on this are basically the Ram 1500 coil springs -1. So they just, basically clipped it down. So there's one less coil. All the capability built into this, the frame, everything else is derived from pickup truck, not Wrangler off-road SUV. And that makes the difference. That's the reason it has such a huge towing capacity. It's about 6,800 pounds. The cargo capacity is really good. I don't remember the number. I think it's about 800 pounds. Just really nicely done. So there you go. This is the interior of the 2020 Jeep Gladiator in the Rubicon package. I'll show you Monroney. Here's the window sticker. It gives you some price ideas. And that's it. That's all I got. This has been Aaron on autos.com. Talk to you again soon. Subscribe.